Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Ryan, I'm your community manager for Gwent, the Witcher card game, and today I am joined by none other than Mr. Streamer, the Potato Ambassador, Crozyr. Hello Crozyr.
Hello Ryan, awesome to be here.
Yeah, I wanted to have you here because I would love to talk with you about all the reveals that happened last week, as this is the reveal recap number 2. So, quick reminder, this is not going to be a reveal of new cards, but this is a reveal of all the cards that were revealed by our community members last week. So as Bourja and Jean did last week, we shall do that today. For everyone that maybe doesn't have the time to follow social media every day or doesn't watch as many streams recently, so this is a nice compact video where you can find all the reveals, everything interesting that happened last week during our reveal campaign. So first of all, you said you're Crozyr, but what do you actually do in the world of Gwent?
Yeah, I'm just your friendly neighborhood potato ambassador, which means I'm streaming the game and play all kinds of decks. I like to look at the spicier decks if possible, but I also have a bit of a competitive drive and then like to place in pro ladder as high as I can. And yeah, I've been playing the game since 2016, so for quite a while. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's coming today, and as the reveal recap is concerned, and just the expansion in general. I think it looks really promising so far.
Awesome. Well, it's always good to get a bit more feedback and more opinions from the community as well. I think it's nice to get a good mixture between developer comments and feedback, so we always like to stay between the fronts as community managers. So I would say we jump right into it, don't waste any time. We've got 21 cards that we revealed last week, or the community revealed last week. So the first card we've got is Witcher Student, which is a token, in fact, a token with the tag Witcher, and so it is doomed and it's got 2 power. Now obviously there are cards that spawn and create tokens, but first and foremost, this is important, we've got a 2-point Witcher token. It was revealed by Chatterpaw. Thank you so much for revealing this token. Now, as I said, there are cards that spawn tokens, and one of them is Armor Up. This was revealed by our Gwent Partners champion, Pavlo X. He won the last Partners tournament. And it's a Skellige raid special for 5 provision. And its ability reads, damage an enemy unit by 2, and then spawn 3 Witcher students on the opposite row, damaging them by 1 and then giving them 1 armor. So basically, you damage an enemy unit by 2 and then you spawn 3 Witcher students on your row, which have been damaged by 1 and have 1 armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Armor Up is quite interesting because it is just a 5/5 on first glance. But it's a card that sets up future plays in a few different ways at once, because you have 3 tokens, which are all 1 strength, so they're damage, right? So it's synergizing with all kinds of cards that want wounded units on your side of the board. And since they also have armor, they also synergize with self-wound. So anything that wants to benefit from the self-wound trigger not hurting your board, you know, the armor obviously helps there to synergize with cards like the Spellblood Priest or others, which means that this card actually gains a lot of value with future plays that you make after this one drops on the board.
Yeah, so proactive play for Skellige, once again. Let's quickly take another look at the next card, because there's actually another card that benefits from these Witcher students, which is Target Practice, a Northern Realms special, 4 provisions only, and it's got the Warfare tag, so it's got a nice synergy going on there. And then it says boosts an allied unit by 4, and if there is a Witcher in the boosted unit's row, also spawn a Witcher student on that row. So a 4 floor, I would say, with a potential 2-point token on top. Obviously the synergy with boosting units in Northern Realms is on the hand, but yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think this one is one of the cards that people are hoping for to see when they look at the Griffin Witcher Adept. That was a card that was revealed last week, and that is a 4/4 Northern Realms card that has a shield with the auto ability to turn any other Witcher on your side of the board into a copy of itself, so into another Griffin Witcher Adept. And as it says here, this spawns a Witcher student we've seen which has a 2-point body, and which makes a great target for this Griffin Witcher Adept. And if we have cards like this, and hopefully other cards that can create this Witcher student, then the Witcher Griffin Adept can really, really synergize well with that and generate a lot of points on the board. So I think this card can shine if the Griffin Witcher Adept has enough fodder, including the Witcher students from this card to get out of control.
True, yeah, that's a nice combo. You play the Adept first, then boost it with this, and spawn a token, which then you can use the order ability from the Adept on. Yeah, nice card. It was revealed by Piotr CNS from our Polish community. So let's quickly go to the next one, which is another Skellige card.
Yeah, and there's one last thing I want to say about
ahead.
the Adepts. That's no problem. For the Adepts, both for this card and also for Armor Up, because we have a card in the card pool. We've had it for a long time now. It's Trial of the Grasses, and it sets a Witcher to 12 power immediately. Any other unit, if it's not a Witcher, it would be damaged by 6 first. So that means, especially on the one from Armor Up, you have a 1-point Witcher, which is literally the smallest Witcher you can have, and then that works as an 11 for 8 effectively if you set that 1 to 12 with Trial of the Grasses. And how lore friendly that you can make the Witcher student with the Trial of the Grasses into a fully grown, powerful Witcher. I think that's really awesome.
True. Good point. Synergy and lore. We got it all. So, next one, Bear Witcher Adept. This one was revealed by Specimen, our friendly streamer from the island. And it's got 7 points for 4 provisions. That's pretty good. But it damages itself by 4 on deploy. And at the end of your turn, heal self by 1. While not damaged, gain 1 armor instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for this one, of course, it comes down as an engine, as a 4 power unit, because first turn immediately it grows to 4. And then it has this cap of 7 points, and after that, once again, it synergizes with anything that likes to have armor on the unit it hits, like any self-wound targets. And I've also already seen people saying this could make for quite a juicy portal target, because of course, a 4 provision card coming out as a 7 if it's summoned to the board and not deployed. So yeah, a lot of different ideas that people already have for this one. I think it is going to see play in a lot of decks, actually.
Yeah, seems like a very, very solid card indeed. Now, also one that got created a lot of buzz during the reveal campaign was the next card that was revealed by Mr. Lionheart. And this is Spontaneous Evolution, a monster special with the organic tag. And it's got 3 additional effects. So first of all, it's boosting an allied unit by 4. And then either, if it's in Insectoid you boost it, you spawn 3 drones. Or if you boosted a beast, it's going to boost that unit by 8 instead. So 8 points for 5 provision. Or if it's an Ogroid, then you're going to give all Ogroids in your hand 2 armor. So those Neckers, for example, can be safe.
Yeah, it's all Ogre now. It's definitely a very interesting card and potentially very powerful, because 8 for 5, of course, is a nice payoff for your 5 provision card there. Of course, if you do it on a beast, it grows tall, which is kind of a downside. On the drone, or on an Insectoid spawning drones, it's only quote unquote 7 for 5, but still pretty decent, right? And I'd say the Ogroid one is where people have been kind of confused about why is this on the card. And as you say, it can protect Neckers, it can protect the Goliath, it can even protect the She-Troll of Vergen, for anyone who still remembers that card. And also, I think, personally, what you might just sometimes do is if you want to take the round and you're only less than 4 points behind the opponent and they passed, then sometimes you can just take it cheaply with this and might as well buff the Ogroids in your hand and get a bit of carryover value out of this spontaneously.
Yeah, true. I think the potential carryover is something that people shouldn't underestimate on a 5 provision card. Also, the card art, I think this premium card, I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's...
And I can't wait to see Shamiri's face when he...
It's going to create a lot of nightmares.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, jumping into the next one. Also, a little bit of a, I don't know, spicy, disgusting art, I would say, but it's a syndicate card, also a special, 5 provision as well, and it's called Stolen Mutagens. And this was actually revealed by Red Rain, and it's a crime and salamander attack card, and also it's got 3 choices again. Now, you can either choose the red, the blue, or the green mutagen, and depending on what you choose, you gain that effect. The first one is damage an enemy unit by 4. Okay. Then the blue one is poison an allied unit and gain 5 coins. That's a lot of coins. And then green is boost an allied unit by 4 and give it Veil. Now, if you control at least 3 Salamandra units, which this expansion is playing around with a bit, you also profit 3. So there's a lot to unpack here. But why don't you just go ahead and say what do you think of this card?
I think, first of all, I love that this card is so versatile, similar to Spontaneous Evolution. And if the Salamandra condition can be met, this card can be bonkers, right? I mean, poison an allied unit and gain 5 coins makes this 8 coins for a 5 provision card, which is really, really good. And then it looks like we get a lot of poison, self-poison synergy this expansion on top of that, so this might mean even more points for this. So in a way, not just the versatility with dealing damage and or giving Veil, but also just the sheer value this card can represent can make this really powerful. I would say as long as it's going to be realistic in the decks that are out there to have 3 Salamander units alive, to keep them alive. If that becomes too difficult, or if the Salamander units that are coming out turn out to not really be that preferable to play, then this card might also fall off in favor. But definitely one with a lot of promise if Salamandra proves to be strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the condition is not met, then it's a very mediocre card, but I still think the flexibility of it is really, really good. And what I wanted to say is that I feel like if you want to meet that condition, you obviously have to wait a little bit into the round. You can't play it very proactively. In general, all of its effects are a little bit reactively. You have to have a unit on the board, at least one, or have an enemy unit on the board. So yeah, it's a very specific card, but flexible at the same time. So kind of cool.
And there's a few Salamandra cards like Azar or Savala who put down multiple Salamandra units at the same time. So there are definitely ways that incentivize this 3 Salamandra unit condition. We'll see how frequently it's going to be able to pull its effect off.
True. All right, let's check the next one out, which is a gold card from Skellige. Obviously, this mighty Witcher was revealed by Claymore, the group of people that we always cooperate with for our tournaments, our partner tournaments, for example. Thank you so much for that reveal. It's called Junod of Belhaven. I think there's multiple ways to pronounce this. There are more cards to come that will be difficult to pronounce, but the deploy effect is quite simple. It says destroy a damaged enemy unit. So I think it's quite the old friend that is coming back in a different form here. What do you think of it?
Yeah, a bit of a déjà vu. Someone might think this is Vabion with a face mask or something. He's taken up a new profession. He's become a Witcher, which is actually the big deal, right? He's not a warrior anymore. Besides that, I think his stats are exactly the same. And thus he can't really be tutored anymore by Blood Eagle. At the same time, of course, with the new set that's coming out, there might be new cards that help an effect such as Vabion's to see play, which means that we'll have to keep an eye out for him. I remember before he was taken out of the game, he started to see play in a few decks already. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Junot here and there and be Vabion 2.0.
Yeah, I think when I was starting out with Gwent back in the day, I always thought, okay, effects that can destroy a single enemy card are super, super good because obviously you can have the choice to destroy the card that the opponent is putting his win condition on. But I think the tag that it needs to be damaged is obviously very, very important because most cards that grow tall are boosted in a way. So it's always difficult to find that sweet spot, in my opinion. But obviously there are a few big monsters out there that you just need to pick once and then you can get rid of them for a huge point potential. But we'll have to wait and see what players come up with here. If you don't mind, let's check out the Griffin Witcher Mentor, which is the next card, a Northern Realms card, which was revealed by Kung Fu Rabbit. He already told me to let him know when there's going to be a Rabbit Witcher faction, but for now it's the Griffin Witcher. And he's got the deploy ability to draw the top unit and then shuffle a card back to your deck. So deck manipulation of your own deck. And it's got the additional Adrenaline 4, which boosts the unit you've drawn by 2. Now, quick reminder, Adrenaline 4 means that if you play this card with 4 cards left in your hand or less, then you get that boost. So if you play it as your 5th to last card, basically, or later, then you get that boost. So you can't open the round or the first round or a very long round with this and gain that boost, but you can still do that deck manipulation.
Exactly. So for this one, I've seen some of the community reaction to this card was rather hesitant, saying that right now there's not really a lot of ways to an art to either set up what you are going to draw, so it might be something bad that you don't want to have, or no other way to really benefit from this random hand buff, so to speak. I mean, obviously in NR there are a lot of cards that want to be buffed when they are on the board by the latest. Something like Ensays would benefit from this greatly, of course. What I find very interesting, that this thing actually only draws units. So you skip all the specials, artifacts in your deck when you pull a card. It's only going to pull a unit and buff that by 2. So I think that might already open up some interesting ideas regarding, having a low unit deck or something, and then somehow having a higher chance of boosting what you really want to boost. But we'll see if that is useful enough. And of course, we don't know what else comes with the expansion. So maybe there's going to be other cards that benefit from this and make this stronger than it looks right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's already cards in Nilfgaard, for example, that manipulate your deck. So you can maybe play around that if they're setting up a Cantarella target. And as you said, I think having that specialty that it only draws a unit is something to keep in mind. And also, I feel like just fixing your hand can be pretty important in, for example, tournaments. We always see that the player that has the better hand often has a advantage going into the round or into the game. But obviously, it always depends on how much value you put in, into that. I'm excited to see what this card can create in the future when it releases. But as you said, the community sentiment was a bit hesitant, a bit negative on one side. A few people said that they think it's underrated, but I think it's one of those cards that we'll have to wait and see how it actually turns out.
Yeah, and I think, people have been complaining that Northern Realms is like the draw your golds faction, and this guy tries to help you draw the cards you want. So maybe maybe this is going to help you draw your golds finally.
Very true, very true. All right. Speaking of golds, here we've got a golden witcher called Bearenga, and at the end of your turn, he destroys himself if there's no other witcher on his row. Now, just a little spoiler, this card art is the work in progress art, and I just wanted to highlight that because there was a bit of confusion on our website right now on playgwent.com. You can see all the cards that have been revealed so far, and you can also see the finished version of this card, but I thought it was kind of cute to show and give the artists some respect on how much effort they put into these. But coming back to the card, 9 points for 6 provision. I take that.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I also want to say a very goofy looking art. Not even quality wise, just in regards to some Witcher guy trying to trade a cow with a Vodianoi or something like that. Of course, a throwback to a quest chain in Witcher 1. So this guy's actually an old friend of mine. I really was hoping to get more Witcher 1 characters, and here we have one of them. Now for his ability, I have heard people say that he's actually not enough points with 9 for 6, because they say cards like Greatswords, they are 10 points for 6. But of course, then you have to get the ability through. Then with this guy, you just slam him down. As long as there's witches, he's gonna be fine. It remains to be seen if the 9 points are attractive enough. Many decks or the fact that we have the Witcher student token suggests we'll have some decks that hopefully be able to swarm them. So in decks like this, of course, Bearenga might be very safe to play. He does say destroy this card if he's the only Witcher on this row. So if he's facing movement and you're spamming Witchers on one row, then that's very sad fate for Mr. Bearenga here to be moved away from his Witcher friends. And I mean, I'm secretly still hoping to get some kind of Witcher tag for monsters, so you can play him in a Thrive deck. But if for lore reasons that doesn't happen, you might have to stay out of the monster decks, unless we have so many neutral Witchers that make him viable there.
I guess, speaking of monsters, or in general, if you put it into a deck that has a lot of locks or consumes, you can still lock or consume it before the turn ends. So, yeah, I guess a Thrive support, you could see it like that. Indeed.
Yeah, actually, the fact that you can eat him right away, that's actually very interesting, yeah.
I don't know if that's the fate he had in mind, but it works out for your deck. Alright, next Witcher on the screen is Viper Witcher Mentor, and now Viper Witcher Mentor was revealed by King Denpai. Oh, I shouldn't forget, Bearenga was revealed by Mr. O Megascorpio. It's always great to have names that you are not sure exactly on how to pronounce them. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but jumping to the next one, this was revealed by King Denpai. Viper Witcher Mentor, 1.6 provision, also a Witcher who joined Nilfgaard, and his effect is Deploy. Set power of this card to match provision cost of the top card in your opponent's deck. And now if you play him very late, Adrenaline 2, it says set power of this card to match provision cost of the highest cost card in opponent's deck instead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a potential 15 for 6 here if this guy finds Masquerade Ball. That's of course the dream. Most of the time it's not going to be that crazy, but I think it's relatively realistic that there's like a 10 or 11 point card at least in the deck of the opponent. Now the question is, can you make that be on top, or can you keep this guy long enough in your hand without making your plays awkward to play him at the very end? So it doesn't matter if the card's on top of the opponent's deck or not. Definitely very interesting. I saw some people saying they don't really like it when, as a player, you're punished for not drawing your high provision cards by something that like puts salt in the wound and says, you didn't draw your Neuromancy, now I'm gonna get 13 points for it. So we'll see how much of a fan favorite this one's gonna be when you play against him. But I think he's definitely potentially very powerful and can score for high points, and for a 6 provision card, I mean, he wants to score at least for like, I guess we just said 10 or at the very least 9. So yeah, we'll see how many ways Nilfgaard's going to have to set up that top card or to keep him long enough in your hand to make him pay off.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is if you keep him to the end of your round so you can get that adrenaline effect and put a card back into the opponent's deck with a Sire, for example, that they already played, committed, for example, in a long round 1, I think you can have a bit more say in what those high provisions actually are in your opponent's deck. But
yeah, definitely.
All right, now the next one is going to be the Bear Witcher, and this is also quite the cool card art because it's another CD Projekt Red employee as a Witcher in our universe, and it's an 8/5, which is already quite nice, and another Skellige bronze, Skomegalol. It's got Deploy, damage self by 3, so it would go down to that 5/5, but also Adrenaline 4, damage self and an enemy unit by 3 instead.
Yeah, this is quite a chonker, as they say. 8/5, and yeah, with that Adrenaline, of course, you have to play him halfway through the round at like 5 cards in hand, and then he literally becomes an 8/5, if I'm seeing this correctly.
That is correct.
And I think there's gonna be 1 or 2 decks that want to play the Bear Witcher because of that. And even the self wound on him synergizes with a few decks. Even the funny mushroom leader, what is it called? The one that spawns a Mardrome and that has a passive that heals things. Even that one is probably gonna really like this guy because he's giving potential value to the heal passive. So yeah, I think this one's gonna be seen quite frequently come the new expansion.
Very true, very true. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't talked to Malaysian or other gameplay designers yet about this, but if you give it a shield, for example, in your hand, or pull it with a shield, I'm interested to see if maybe even protects that damage from itself. So, speaking of shielding a Witcher, the next card that is coming up is Geralt Quinn. And obviously, first of all, congratulations for being back in the game, Quinn. Love to have you. It's a 2 for 10, also with the Witcher, obviously, Geralt the Witcher. And it's got a shield itself. And then on deploy, you can play another Witcher from your deck. And if you play it late into the round with Adrenaline 3, you give it a shield. Now there's that shield I was talking about. First of all, congratulations for Tailbot for revealing that, and the Bear Witcher was revealed by Anna, our latest community manager that joined the team. But yeah, I just love to have this card back. I love the card art, and I feel like some people were a bit hesitant or straight up negative about the card, saying it's a bit weak. I feel like it's really good to have a flexible tutor for the witch attack, but
I also think this guy should be taken seriously. I mean, the shield tech, of course, maybe first of all can synergize with the shield archetype, which has always been a bit left behind. But now with the Griffin Witcher Adept, that might also see some new favorable wins in the meta. But of course, as you said, just with the Bear Witcher, I think, let me do the math right here. That means it comes down as a 13, if I'm not mistaken, because the Bear Witcher is 8. He comes out for his full value because the damage he would do to himself is absorbed. And then he does 3 damage to something, so 2 points on Geralt plus 11 points on the Bear Witcher. Already, like, that's a nice play that you can make. Just as, an emergency play if you don't find whatever maybe high provision Witcher you want to get. We don't know what else might still come that really benefits from a shield and from being able to be tutored. So I think this card is going to be a force to be reckoned with in a few decks.
Yeah, I think the flexibility is what makes it so strong, because with cards like Igni or Erden,
yes,
they have been very prevalent in some metas, and in some they haven't, and just, I don't know, surprise people on the ladder spontaneously. But if you can keep those cards in your deck and just only pull them if necessary, and maybe if you don't want to pull them because their effect wouldn't proc, you can just grab a very solid value Witcher out of your deck, a bronze card or a different golden Witcher, like for example Bearenga, which we revealed earlier, then I think the floor of potential, and you don't lose much. So I think that's where this card shines.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, by the way. Just the meme potential that you can have a Geralt deck and Geralt Quinn can pull any other Geralt, obviously, because they're all witches from the deck. That's really nice.
Yeah, unless I'm missing something here, but I think that's how it should work.
Yeah, it definitely works. And also maybe one last fun fact, he's wearing the Manticore armor, the Manticore school armor from Blood and Wine, so nice to put that into the game as well. So yeah, very very cool design for the card art.
Yeah, I love the color scheme that it brings. It fits very well into this background art that we've got going. All right, now enough of pretty things. We've got a few monster cards coming up, and the next one, Eider, was revealed by Haya Etani, a Japanese community member, and it is an 7 for 8 monster card in Insectoid, and it's got the Order ability, consume all tokens on this row and gain immunity. But that order is only available with Adrenaline 3. And then it's got another passive, which says whenever you consume 1 or more units, spawn a drone on this row. Alright, guide me through that.
Basically, this guy is a lonely champion from Syndicate on steroids, if you're familiar with that one, that also consumes tokens and gains immunity. This one does it as an order, and with the immunity, it essentially becomes an immune engine towards the end there, spawning drones whenever you consume something. And with so many things spawning tokens, you might want something that cleans the board in a way that's beneficial to you. So I think this guy, also being very difficult to remove at 7 power, should definitely have a few decks built around him that very much benefit from his ability and are gonna make him a decent card, I think.
Yeah, or you just play this to scare your opponent off, and maybe he's gonna not come back to the game.
Yes, he is spooky.
Yeah, speaking of spooky, the next one also pretty spooky. I'm not sure yet how we're gonna pronounce this card, but it says Koshi. I think we still have to figure that out.
I think I always call him Koshi. Like, almost like Koshi, but Koshi.
Yeah, which obviously 4 points, 10 provision, but also 3 armor, and then it's got Thrive going, and whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, it's gonna spawn a drone on the throne. Now, if you do that later into the game, so Adrenaline 4, it says whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn an Endriga Lava on the throne instead. So, you know those Endriga Lavas, those monster cards with shields that also thrive? I think that's where it's at.
Yep, I think those Endriga Laves, they are going to be very, very scary if they keep shooting out of the Koshi here with Thrive after Thrive. There's so much that you can do with this card. Some people have compared it to Geralt Quinn, where if this goes through, you can amass an insane amount of points on your board. I think someone calculated, even without using Woodland as a leader, that could thrive this again, this within 5 turns or 6 turns with Mata, who can prolong the Adrenaline condition. This can like produce 31 points or something, and that's not with playing Caranthea on top of it, and Woodland, as I said, to thrive everything at the end. So, of course, that sounds very broken, but this card might also just die before it can pull off its effect. And then the question is it going to be worth it to build your deck around a card that if it's removed, like a lot of the other things you wanted to do fall apart, and it's just less value than you need to win the game. But yeah, if it manages to pull through, if the meta isn't shaped in a way that this card gets punished too hard, then I could see there being some decks, at least in the vein of old Endriga Queen decks, that would really like this bad boy or girl. I'm not sure what the Koshi is.
Yeah, true. And I think it's been a while since monsters have been the most dominating faction, and people have been looking forward to seeing it research to the top, or at least be very competitive viable. So I'm excited to see where it ends up landing on the viability specter. But yeah, thanks so much to our faction ambassador Ocean Mud to revealing this. Any last thoughts on the card?
Yeah, just one last tidbit of lore for those who are interested. That woman on the card art, we can only see her from the back, but presumably that should be Vizenna, who is Geralt's mother, who was a druid / mage herself. And in the original story, she's actually killing the first Koshi that was ever created. So there's reason to believe that that's supposed to be her. She kind of looks like the way she's described in the story. So yeah, basically a cameo here for Geralt's mom.
Yeah, whoever she is, a very brave woman. Also in the premium version, it's quite a good premium version. I won't spoil it, but you can look forward to that. Next monster card on the chopping block is Hybrid, a beast mutant 4/4, and it reads whenever you consume 1 or more units, it boosts itself by 1. First of all, thank you to Hansu, also from Japan, revealing this card. To me, this screams Portal, but maybe you can see another use for this.
Yeah, so with this one, this might be the first one on the list today that I'm myself have a bit of difficulty seeing how it's going to be strong. Maybe I'm going to be proven different, or like proven wrong. But the thing is, one of the main issues that I see with this is that you would technically want to play it with Overwhelming Hunger, because you think, oh wow, I've got 3 consume triggers and I can get this guy off the ground really quickly. But as it happens, Overwhelming Hunger doesn't really classify as a consume, because the ability reads something like destroy a unit and then create a Akimara that is set to the power of the unit you destroyed. So it's not a true consume. And I think for Glusty Warp it's the same. So compared to a card that already exists in the game, the Ran, which just says whenever a unit is destroyed during your turn, boost self by 1. This one's kind of like a poor man's version of that, given it's a provision cheaper. But yeah, I feel like right now, at least with the card pool we have, I'm not quite sure if we'll see enough consumes happening all the time to make this card be strong enough. But again, I'll gladly be proven wrong to see some massive consumption deck that just chomps through everything, and we'll see mighty hybrids.
Yeah, I guess we gotta keep it balanced. If you've got some 30-point Koshis on the one hand, you gotta have a 4-point hybrid.
Yes.
All right, next card. This was actually revealed by Ghost Aria, I believe, also another streamer from the community. And she revealed the Cat Witcher Mentor, which says deploy, boost health by the number of other cards on this row. And then it's got the Adrenaline 4 tag, which says whenever a card appears on this row, boosts health by 1. Now, this is obviously a Scoia'tael card, and it's got a 1-point base. So I guess the potential is to boost by 8 other cards that you already have established on the row, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone call it a mini oak. Because of course,
yes,
a mini oak, because yeah, it boosts itself, as you said, by the amount of units on that row. And then of course this adrenaline passive is very interesting because it also synergizes with the Cat Witcher that we've seen revealed that keeps jumping from one row to the next. So every time that Witcher jumps back onto the Mentor's row, the Mentor is going to be really happy and get a nice boost. And in a way, this card is nice because you are the one who's setting it up. You're the one who's usually shaping the nature of your card deployment on your rows. So if you know you've got a deck that maybe spams a few cards at once, you can fill up that row quite nicely, and you probably want to play movement to set up that row even more efficiently, then this guy can easily reach a decent ceiling. That being said, of course, the floor is quite low, right? As a 1-point card here, if you don't get to stack your board, if you have a short round 3, this one's going to look really sad, which means you'll have to set them up properly. And I'm not sure if you want to run 2 of them because of him potentially bricking a bit too hard, but definitely also an interesting card that has a pretty decent ceiling, especially with the adrenaline ability on top of that.
Yeah, I think the adrenaline ability is where it's at because it specifically says appears, so it doesn't have to be played or spawned. It can actually, as you said, just be a card that jumps onto that row. And I think there's a few cards in Scoia'tael that benefit from that, but let's see, maybe there's more that will be revealed in the future. Next card is going to be, quite the legendary card, Eva Evil Eye. And first of all, awesome art in my opinion, and I think Quillen Lance, he actually drew this card to reveal it on stream. Very, very awesome idea, and it turned out pretty great. Now, this is a Nilfgaard legendary, 4 points, 10 provision, and it says swap Eva's power with an enemy unit. Okay, and then Adrenaline 2, damage an enemy unit by 4 instead. So, which means if you play it as one of your 3 last cards, it's actually just a 4-point body with 4 damage, which is not a bad flaw in my opinion. And if you play it earlier, then it's going to have that swap effect.
Yeah, most definitely. So of course the flaw is interesting because it actually also allows you to kill something, whereas the deploy can't. But the deploy obviously is the flashy thing that this card can do. Swapping power with an enemy unit is crazy point-wise because you basically have to double whatever power has been exchanged. If you do this on a 10-point card on the opponent's side, that means that 6 points go to you and 6 points are lost to the opponent. So this makes Ivar a 16-point player for 10 already. I feel like especially in round 1, if you're on red coin, this card can represent a lot of reach for anything that grows relatively tall throughout the round. And in general, any engine like Hamadryads or like a Saul in Syndicate that want to be played relatively early and grow as tall as they can throughout the course of the game can give Ivar a lot of value, and I think will make him see play in quite a few decks, because I think it's quite difficult to, like as you say, to brick him, because he can do at least 4 damage, become one of the 40 or 4 cards. I think he's very, very solid.
Yeah, I think this is one of the examples why I love Adrenaline so much, because it provides another tool for the designers to balance the card around. If we feel like this card is maybe too weak, you can move that Adrenaline into a specific direction, either make his swapping power more flexible and maybe even work later into the round with Adrenaline 1, or make it weaker. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to work on a card like this. I think giving the player the opportunity to maybe do either straight away would be so broken, but this is a nice way to find that middle ground.
Yeah, I think so too. We used to have a card called Master of Disguise. We still have the card, but it used to do something similar as an order ability where it would swap its order with that of an opponent's unit. And it was just such a huge swing, and it felt so broken when it could target the opponent's finisher. And with Adrenaline, as you said, finally, maybe we can find a way to have a balanced version of this ability in the game.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Coming up, Griffin Witcher. Now this card is a Northern Realms bronze card, 4 points, 5 precision, and it's got the order melee ability, says damage an enemy unit by 1, and it's got a cooldown by 1, so you can do that every single turn while you're on the melee row. And then Adrenaline 3, at the end of your turn, damage a random enemy unit by 3 and lock self. So it's basically an engine up until Adrenaline 3, where it deals extra 3 damage and then stops.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So these pew pew engines historically have always been quite decent. This is kind of similar to the Cat Witcher, where it does 1 damage a turn. Just that this one, once its Adrenaline is reached, instead of starting to do 2 damage, it does this burst of damage, pings by 3 and locks itself. And what I like the most about that ability is that technically, if you had a Purify, you could unlock it, and at the end of the turn, it would lock itself again and do another 3-point damage. Not that Northern Realms has too many Purify abilities, but technically, I just love the idea that you can do that little interaction.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zigzag, for revealing this card. As you said, I think Northern Realms is just balanced around the fact that they don't have a good faction Purify. And we gotta keep it like that. We gotta make it special.
I'm not gonna start to argue.
Obviously, I'm joking. This is not my decision, but yeah, an interesting looking bronze card, taking care of a Griffin right there. Now we got 3 more golden cards coming up to round up this stream, and the first one is Gaetan, a Squirtle Witcher, 5 points, 7 provision, and it says deploy, move other cards from this row to another row, and then damage a random enemy for every card moved by 1. Okay, so 5 points for 7 provision is already okay-ish if you've got a decent ability, and I feel like this ability's point potential is pretty good.
The point potential is actually crazy. I mean, you just showed the Cat Witcher Mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I read these abilities correctly, if you have the Cat Witcher Mentor on the board, on a row stacked from left to right with 8 units, and the Cat Witcher is on the very left of that row, and you play Gaetan on that row, so everything on this row moves to the other row.
Yes.
Then that would mean
yes,
that the Cat Witcher Mentor is the first to land on the second row, and everything else appears on his row, triggering his ability and making him grow by another 8 points. That might have been a bit confusing. It just means if you play this guy with Cat Witcher Mentor, you can potentially buff the Cat Witcher Mentor by 8 points while still doing a damage.
8 damage, yeah.
8 damage, yeah, to a random enemy. So that can give this card a huge ceiling.
I just love when things work like you expect them to work, and this is exactly one of those things. Yeah, I talked to my Legion, and he told me that they actually made sure that it also matters where you play your Cat Witcher Mentor. So you have to play him on the left. It has to be the first card to jump onto that row, or it only procs by the cards that appear after him. So that really matters. Obviously, this thought up example only works if your other row is completely empty and you've got the perfect setup, but as you said, it's just the potential that is there, which is very high, and I think it will in most rounds find decent value, even without any synergies from movement cards, which come as a bonus on top, like the Dolbrathana Sentry, for example.
Oh yeah, maybe this card will finally see
Bring it back,
a bit
yeah.
more play. Yeah.
I just love the Dolbrathana Sentry because of the past card it used to be.
Oh yeah,
The
the
Protector.
one that grew. By every spell played. Yeah.
Spelletell, I miss it.
Those were the days.
All right, 2 more very exciting cards coming up. First of all, shout out to the Foltest League organized by Team Nova, which revealed this card. Congratulations for that successful tournament. And now, Syndicate, obviously revealed by our Syndicate Faction Ambassador Trinet, we've got Fallen Raila, a 5.11 provision card. So the effect must be good, right? It's got Profit 3 and then Tribute 3 Gain Veil, with the additional Adrenaline 3 whenever you pay Tribute ability, boost self by that Tribute's cost. Okay, so you play it with Adrenaline 3, you gain 3 coins, and then you also pay that Tribute, which you immediately get back in points.
Exactly. So this card, if you play it as starting with your 4th to last card, it comes down as an 8 for 11 with Veil. So a card that's relatively difficult to remove unless you've got Becker's Rock Slide or a Heat Wave or a a Curse of Corruption. So of course there's a few specific cards that can take it down, but your average removal will not be able to take down Raila. You can't lock her either or poison her. And then this passive, of course, in a way, it's almost like as if you take Louisa's ability, which like that one, of course, allowed you to keep coins instead of having to spend them on a tribute. But now instead of keeping the amount of coins, instead you transform these coins into these tribute coins into points onto Raila, and you can do it for multiple rounds as long as the game continues from Adrenaline 3 onwards. Which means, like, for example, you could play Savolla and Jack to Eldersburg. First one has 9, a tribute of 9. Jack has a tribute of 4, making this card already a 21 for 11. And Savolla and Jack are, of course, cards that can definitely also see play in Syndicate decks. So I think this card is definitely not too shabby and can reach very respectable heights with passive ability.
Yeah, indeed. And just to clarify, the Adrenaline passive actually also looks at like the factual and actual tribute that you paid. For example, if you play Louisa, then also Fallen Raila won't boost herself because you didn't pay any tribute. Same goes for off the books. If you manipulate the cost of tributes, it also changes the amount that Fallen Raila boosts herself. Just so everyone's clear on that. Also, by the way, Lorenzo always delivers. This card art is crazy. Crazy good. Alright, we got one last card to review, and it was revealed by our Skellige faction ambassador, Mr. Shinmiri, also our analyst. And this one, also people have seen it in the trailer. It's Anagard, 7 points, 10 provision. Skellige, of course, a Witcher, and it says deploy, gain 1 armor for every damaged unit. Every damaged unit, doesn't matter which side of the board, and then Adrenaline 4. When your opponent plays a unit, damage that unit by Anagard's power and damage Anagard by that unit's power.
Yeah, I like to call this guy Ermagerd.
Oh my god, yeah.
Mr. Ermagerd himself. Yeah, he is the Elder Bear Slayer, so to speak. For those who might not be familiar, the Elder Bears is like a moniker that has been given to cards that come down and have a powerful order ability that wants to be triggered the turn after. And when they come down and Ermagerd or Anagard, I can't even say the real name now, is on the board, they're going to have a very bad day because they get slain before they do anything. And what you might want to put this card next to, is the first thing that came to my mind, is something like Sucrus that prevents a card from taking damage. So if you have Arnagard next to Sucrus, then Arnagard is gonna hit everything that comes down, but Sucrus is tanking everything that wants to retaliate. And yeah, there's a lot of fun things you can do with this card. How competitive is it at the end of the day? It's always a question with cards like this that are expensive and only get value after they've triggered a few turns and kind of also depend on what the opponent's playing. I don't know, but it definitely has a lot of flavor. Can't wait to play this card myself and to foil some opponents' dreams before they can even find their way onto the board.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of combos that you could think of already. As you said, the just protecting it from taking damage is pretty good. Giving it a shield is pretty insane. Healing it up after it was damaged. Also, you've got a lot of healers in Skellige. I think the potential is pretty crazy. Also, if you increase its power, just by that, it already becomes super strong. And yeah, I can't wait to see how viable this card is, but I really like the idea behind it, because it also makes your opponent play around it quite a bit. Very interested to see what this turns out to be.
Definitely, super excited.
Alright, I think that's it. All of the reveals for today. As I said at the start, we're not revealing anything new, we're not taking away any community reveals, but obviously it's Monday, so the reveal week has started again. There will be a lot of reveals happening today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. And then at the end of the week, you're gonna get a lot more reveals during our Gwent Masters Season 2 Finals, which is happening on the 5th and 6th of December. Don't miss that. It's gonna be quite epic. Got a lot of good content coming up during that. And also, if you want to check out the pre-orders, you can go to playgwent.com and check out every information about the expansion. Thank you so much, Crozyr, for joining me. First of all, it was really good to have you on the stream. And yeah, if you've got anything left to say it now.
It's an absolute honor to be invited. I really loved looking at all these cards, and I mean, I've been checking out the community reactions, excitedly following every reveal myself. So it was just a lot of fun to come here and do this, and I can't wait for the expansion to come out and play all of this. It's always, for me, the best time of the year, so to speak, or best times of the year when there's new Gwent stuff coming out. And this one's looking really spicy, some of these legendaries coming on.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me once again. And for everyone else, keep an eye out on social media or come back here next week to check out the next reveal recap. It's probably going to be Bourgeois again. Yeah. Maybe see you next time.
All right.
Have a good week,
care.
everyone. See you.
Bye.